Hello, fellow warriors. Welcome to a new episode of Divided, Survived, and Thriving, where I get to have candid conversations about turning the painful process of divorce into a positive force in your life. I am Lila Aiken Ali, a divorcee, divorce coach, and the founder of Split FYI, which is an online community rich in resources and information for anyone going through divorce or separation. I am very grateful to have these conversations with survivors of divorce who are willing to share their stories and how they overcame their battle scars to achieve peace and purpose in their lives. I do believe strongly in the power of story, and I hope that their tried and true pearl wisdoms, will help guide you through your own process of separation and keep you in good company along the way. So, without further ado, my guest for today is the Instagram sensation, the divorce mama bear herself, which I love that name, Lindsay Cushman. Lindsay, I'm sure not many people know your real name, actually. They sometimes know your name under the divorce mama bear.
Yeah, I don't actually have my name on there. So unless somebody direct messages me, and then I always, use Lindsay, but and you can obviously see it if you read any of my blogs, but no, I really go by the divorce mama bear. So most people just call me mama or mama bear.
Yeah, I love mama bear.
I mean, that works.
Yeah, Mama Bear is perfect. It's perfect to also describe you as a person that I've gotten to know you.
Mhm.
So not only are you a writer and a single mom, you've got a mission to turn your experience with divorce into a positive one, which is perfect fit for this show. So I'm very excited for you to be here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have so much to say about you and intro you with, but I actually think that at this point, we should just dive right in and talk a little bit about your story, and what's been the catalyst for you to start this whole Instagram phenomenon that I know you didn't know it would take off like that.
I had no idea. So I was married for 10 years. We were together for 13 years. And we had, a very rough relationship. We had contemplated divorce for quite a while. Honestly, almost our entire marriage, we contemplated divorce. And really the last 2 years of the marriage was really rocky. And he ultimately filed for divorce. And we were in the process of selling a home and buying a new one when this happened. So I was kind of left homeless. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so I didn't have a job. And so I had to, get a job, and I was really totally kind of taken aback at the timing of when everything happened. So I really had to start fresh. I had never lived on my own before. I went right from my parents' house to living with my ex-husband. So this was a whole new experience for me, not just, being on my own, but having to start my career again. So I've always been one to kind of post on social media pretty actively with my own personal account, but I didn't feel comfortable, strangely enough, posting about my divorce with people that I know personally, So I started the Divorce Mama Bear Instagram, and I kind of just started posting quotes that I found that I liked, and, or making up my own quotes. And I started that last August, not this August, but August of 2019, and kind of took a break from it for a while. I think back then I had maybe, 200 followers. I don't even know. So I kind of deactivated it for a while. And then when quarantine hit, I'm like, you know what? I really want to just reconnect with people. I was going through a hard time. I had just gone through a breakup with the guy that I had dated right after my divorce. And I really just felt like I had a lot to say, a lot to express. And it's kind of taken off. That started in May, and now here, I don't know, I think I'm close to 7,000 followers at this point, but it's just so many people that I'm connecting with, and I really, I have so many women and men reach out to me on a regular basis. Just, what you posted was exactly what I needed to see today, or how do you even get started with a divorce? Where do you even go? How do you leave a toxic situation and be okay and get to the other side in one piece, So I'm really at this point, my goal is just to surround myself with really positive people that if I can't help them, I can refer them to where they need to be, because I feel like I got those papers and I immediately went to an attorney and I thought, that's what I need to do. I didn't even consider mediation. I didn't even know what a divorce coach was. I didn't know that there were all these online resources. And now I'm seeing that. And I want other people that are thinking about a divorce or going through a divorce to know that there are other options aside from just a traditional attorney or, a traditional therapist. There are so many other things out there that you can explore and so many resources, and that divorce isn't a failure. You can really, really turn your life around and make it better and, get to the other side and have peace. Because I think peace is the ultimate goal for everybody.
And hope. And what I find with, especially, I obviously follow a lot of people within the industry, and I'm surrounded by it, being a divorce coach myself. So that I'm always surrounding myself with that. But you're giving and you're allowing people to have hope. You're creating a space for them to be honest, to understand where they're at, and to be accepting of where they're at also. Because like I was also sideswiped by divorce. I'm like, whoa, I didn't expect this. I didn't know what to do. And so you have those people who get sideswiped, but deep down inside knew there was something wrong with their relationship. You don't want to know, right?
Yeah.
You have that belief system. I'm holding on to a marriage. I'm holding on to a family. This is what it is. And so all of a sudden, the sideswiping, even though you kind of in the back of the head knew that it was right, you shouldn't be with the person. It's just a change of identity. It's a shift of so many things. And then you feel ashamed and you don't know where to turn to. So you providing this space of normalcy, going, hey, I've been in the trenches. I've been there just like you. There is some hope, and look at me. And it's like, it's not an easy road up like this, but there are those waves, as you always mention. And there's those moments that you're like, damn it, this is hard, which is human, which is totally human. You can't paint that big, beautiful picture of the life that you want to live if you don't go through any of that stuff. Yeah. And that's what you're providing. So
yeah. And you're not going to appreciate those good moments if you don't go through the bad, I think that has my divorce, if it has taught me anything, it's just to really enjoy the good, when it happens, because it's fleeting. Those moments are fleeting. And, but when you have them, it gives you something to look forward to, because that the bad times aren't going to last. That you are going to get to the other side. If you can make it through a divorce, you can make it through anything. It is the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your entire life. Even if you wanted it, even if you're the one that filed, it is still hard. You're completely going outside of your comfort zone and everything that you've known for however long you've been married, and it's really just starting your life over again. And it's scary, but it's also a good thing. There is good that can come out of it if you look hard enough.
Well, for you, and what it sounds like from me sitting here listening to you also, it was such a learning curve. I mean, it was like the crash course to life, in the sense that here I am, I'm on my own. I'm going to do this on my own, and look at you thriving on your own. I mean, so, and yes, of course, life is hard with or without a partner. I mean, let's face it, there's always going to be something that's thrown our way, but the sheer fact that you don't have to rely on anyone else. Yeah. That's the good that comes out of that too. It's like, look, it's nice to have a partner. I'm all for it. I'm all for that. And the love and, finding that again. And also the fact that you can do it on your own, it's like, rather than that, and hold on to that belief.
And I think that, in my marriage, that was something that I really didn't have. I didn't know how to do it on my own. I really thought, like, I can't survive without him. I remember my best friend, saying, you're going to be okay. Like, you will survive. You can live without him. And I'm like, no, I don't know. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to, take the garbage out? Like, I didn't even do simple things like that, kill the spiders and, just take care of the normal things. I'm like, how am I going to do it?
Right.
And I did it. And it's really not as hard as I thought it would be. And some of those things are actually enjoyable, like, taking out a hammer and doing things around the house for myself and just, paying my own bills. And this is mine. Like, these things are mine. I've worked hard for them. And it's a sense of pride that I didn't have before, outside of being a mom and outside of being a wife, because when I was younger, that's all I ever wanted to be. I wanted to be a mom and a wife. I didn't
Mhm.
really have like big career aspirations. I wanted to be a mom and a wife, but now I have other goals. It's kind of like being a kid all over again,
Right.
and kind of rediscovering like, those dreams that I kind of suppressed for so long and never really explored. So,
I think that's brilliant what you just said because, and I often had said this too. There are things in life when when you have kids, you always talk to them and say, "Hey, I know you might not be thinking about this now, but later down the line." And we always give them this hindsight stuff that really they just can't conceptualize. They're like, "I don't care. I'm not listening to it because I want to do what I want to do."
mhm.
Rightly so. And when I remember getting out of university and starting, my career work and so forth, I was like,
Mhm.
I really wish I became an architect. I mean, this is like, and this goes back to, do I want to go back to school for like 6 years?
Mhm.
Do I want to do that? No, I had no desire to go back and do it. But had
Mhm.
I listened to even my family, sometimes we're saying, hey, you're so artistic, you're so creative, maybe you should. And so
Mhm.
sometimes you have those second chances, sometimes you don't, right?
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm like, okay, I am where I am and I'm meeting myself there.
Mhm.
But to your point, it's like you could have been under your ex's thumb for so long, right? Living a life that was just kind of dictated to you. Rather, you just got the opportunity to really like live your life for yourself, which is it's so hard for people to see when they're going through the heartache, the grief, well, changing their whole identity, the identity shift that they're changing, that it's so hard for them to conceptualize that and say, oh my God, I'm actually going to be better off. But you're a living proof of it. And for me, it was the same. I could totally see myself going down that path of forgetting who I was and what I was doing and getting into the mommy wife,
Mhm.
and so it was a blessing in many ways, as hard as it was.
It's funny that so many of my friends and family members have commented that the old Lindsay's back. I lost so much of myself during my marriage. And, I really, even my appearance, like my physical appearance, I look more like I did now when I was, in my 20s, because I really I felt better about myself and I wanted to work out and I wanted to eat healthy. And I really feel like that is such an important part. And what kind of got me through a lot of those hard days
Mm,
was self-care and taking care of myself and putting myself first for once, because I hadn't in so long.
right.
So it just, that is the biggest comment that a lot of people have made, is that it's the old Lindsay's back. And it's nice to see, because I was really down. I felt really suppressed. I felt controlled in a
Mm,
lot of ways, whether he intended to or not. That was really, how I felt during my marriage. And it's kind of funny because he would kind of say the opposite. He would kind of say that I controlled him
mm,
in a lot of ways, but it it really just, I was financially kind of controlled, emotionally. I felt like anytime we got into an argument or something, the first threat was divorce. There was no like communication or stability, or I always felt like the rug could be ripped out from under me at any moment. And having that independence now, just having my own money, having my own career, having my own home, feeling like it can't just be ripped out from under me. These
mm.
are my things. If I do eventually get married again, or, have a partner, then I know who I am now as a woman. And I didn't know that before I got married. And it's not going to be taken away from me again. I can certainly add something to my life, but they will not be my entire life. I am independent, and that's a huge thing that I discovered through my divorce, was just that independence again and breaking free, that freedom.
Mhm. And to understand yourself, I assume. And I know we've talked about this, there is a layer, and we're not blaming your ex, but there is a layer of things that are said, hurtful things that are said. They
Mhm.
layer on top of you, you collate them, and it is emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And it's, and like you said before, it doesn't mean that somebody is intentionally doing it.
Yeah.
It's being done, and the acceptance of it is there because you're in a relationship. Where else are you going to go? And you hear it, even though some of it you're like, it might not be true, it doesn't matter, you're still taking it on board, and it's layering up inside of you. So tell us, I mean, what I would love the audience to know is some of the things that you did. And I know Instagram was one of them, but what are some of the things that you did to kind of get through that emotional like release of going, I am not that person, or I am not that, that thing that what he accused me of, or this happened, or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm still not there yet. I will tell you, even now, like in the relationships that I have, I still struggle with it. I have a lot of insecurities.
Right.
But number one was definitely taking care of myself. Once I really just started to, take care of my body again. I mean, not gonna lie, I was 210 pounds when I filed for divorce, and I have lost 60 pounds in a year and a half.
Ooh, that is
I mean,
amazing.
on my own.
Right.
And like, it's almost embarrassing to say that, but I just want people to, it can affect, like, a toxic relationship can affect your physical health
Mm-hmm.
just as much as it can affect your mental health, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
For
and it
sure.
and it really, really beat me down. So that self-care was just number one for me. And I went to a therapist. I went to a therapist for 6 months, and I really did some hard work on myself. I really had to take a look at what was missing inside of me, that I accepted it for so long, that I was content with being so unhappy, and how am I going to break that cycle from happening again?
Right.
How am I going to break that cycle of feeling like I need a man to take care of me? And I'm not okay on my own. I really had to just really look at what was missing inside of me. And there's a lot of things that I discovered that had happened way back even in my childhood, that
Right.
kind of led me to feel like that situation was okay and it was acceptable, but it's not acceptable. And really surrounding myself with people that are uplifting and that are supportive 100% of the time. You can have friends, but friends that are literally there for you through everything.
Right.
And they tell you, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for you. Because
Mm-hmm.
that was just constantly hearing that threat of divorce during my marriage. Like I said, it never felt stable. I didn't feel comfortable in my own home. I felt like the rug could be pulled out from under me. And ultimately it did. My biggest fear happened,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of landing on my butt, I picked myself up and I stood on my own 2 feet. And my friends and my family members that were super supportive, that was so important to kind of switching that around for me. And writing too, writing the healing process of journaling my own thoughts and blogging and connecting with other people that had gone through similar situations, and reading what they went through and not feeling so alone. That definitely helped as well.
That is something, I'm glad you said that, because I truly believe in the power of writing. And it's interesting because a lot of people will say to me, well, I'm not a good writer. I was like, you don't need to be a good writer. Not everyone's prolific in writing. That's totally fine. And not everybody's great with words. I misspell all the time. I speak Italian and English. I mean, you should see some of the words that come out of me. But
Yeah.
but it is cathartic. Like, you just get it out. And and I often also use that for when you're communicating with your ex, right?
Yeah.
So there is, I mean, you never divorce the person you marry. So things get usually harder. It's very rare that they get easier. And so, and I say that it's like all the things you kind of want to say, it's okay. It's acceptable because you're feeling them. Put them down in writing. You don't have to send them out. You don't have to actually send it to them, but the
Exactly.
process of writing it all. And maybe you'll use it for a blog, or maybe you'll use it to connect with somebody else or to help somebody else through it. But it's keeping that log, it's taking out, getting the feelings out. And I love what you said that, because connecting with the people once you started writing, like I said, it's like through your writing and through what you had to say, people felt like they were being heard because they were going through similar things. Listen, all the stories are different in divorce, for sure. Different people, different stories, but there's always that underlining same feeling. It hurts. No matter if you're wanting a divorce or not, it hurts. You've just changed your whole life. You've made a contract to somebody, and if kids are involved, for life you're going to be with them, right? So, it's changing that dynamic. So I think that sense of community and hearing other people's story and understanding and relating is so, so important.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's, you've been so successful, because you're raw. You exactly say how you're feeling. And it's like, take it or leave it. Like, some days are good, some days are bad.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And I think that is really important. And even if I kind of cringe sometimes after I post something, I'm like, oh, am I going to lose some followers, or am I going to offend some people? Or is somebody that I know going to see this and it's always going to be on the internet? I'm just like, you know what? If it helps one person going through something right now, just kind of feel like they're going to be okay and they're going to make it. And if they're not alone, then it's worth it. I remember the night that I had my rock bottom. It was probably a month and a half after my ex had filed for divorce, and I had tried to work things out. And he was not at that time open to it. And I remember him looking at me and being like, I feel nothing for you anymore. And I just bawled. I just bawled my eyes. I wanted to take my life. Like, I really had thoughts of that night. And I called, my best friend, and she's like, I promise you, you're gonna be okay. Like, this is not gonna last forever. Your life is not over. It's really just beginning. And I feel like I had to have that rock bottom to start the climb, because before that I had just kind of been on my way, kind of going through the motions, but I really needed to feel that. I needed to hit that point. So, anybody that's kind of going through that and feeling like they're not going to get out of it, if you push hard enough and you just put one foot in front of the other, you're going to get there. It does take time. It's not overnight. I've heard people say that it really takes you 5 years to heal from a divorce, like fully. I don't know that you ever fully heal from it.
There's no magic number for sure, I don't think, and everybody's different. But yeah, time is definitely, you're right. Who knows if you ever heal from it. I think what the healing process is that you've learned so much from it. And so you're a different person. It's there maybe inside of you, niggling in there, and somewhere in there it becomes like a distant memory, right? It becomes something that's foggy, which is a way better place, for it to be.
Time really does heal. I mean, it doesn't cover it up, it doesn't make everything 100% better, but it really does heal some of those empty feelings that you're having. And the questioning, the constant questioning, the more that you do it on your own, and the more that you really start to build this life for yourself, the hurt kind of gets better. It really does. You fill your bucket with the good things, and the bad things don't feel quite as bad.
Right. And I think what you were saying before is that you've got to have to reach that point, that rock bottom, and not be afraid of that. So oftentimes you'll see that a lot of people will just push it under the carpet or whatever, just like, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to lock it up in a room, lock it with a key, throw away the key, never deal with it. Or I want to go in a cave and never come out, And I get those feelings. We've all felt them before. It's the same feeling of wanting to take your life. It's just like, I'm done. I don't want this anymore. I want it to go away, or I want to go away, makes so much sense. But it's
Yeah.
like you have to go through that and almost get to that in order to get out of it. And the getting out of it is the beauty. I
Mhm.
mean, there's so much beauty in that darkness that I always say, and people think I'm crazy. I'm like, no, there really is. It's like, it's all of a sudden you find your superpower.
Yeah.
And your superpower.
There is so much strength that you absolutely have no idea that you have.
Yeah.
You don't know. And then you come out of it and you're like, wow, like, look at what I survived. Like, look at, like, I had to literally find a place to live, a job. My son had to change schools, go through a divorce. I had to live with my ex-husband for 4 months,
Mhm.
literally all in the matter of 4 months that happened,
Right.
and back into the dating scene. And, I mean,
That's another ride.
it's a whole other story. But I mean, my entire life changed, in the matter of 4 months. And I mean, it was hard. There were a lot of hard days, but I got through it. And I look back on it now and I'm like, thank God. I don't want to go back there.
No.
I would never go back. I
No.
would never go back to that place.
Right.
And it's a good feeling to be able to do that. Even though, yes, I'm a single mom and it's hard.
Mhm.
I would rather have this where I am in control of my own life and my own destiny than where I was.
Right. That's a freedom. And that's a freedom that people don't, recognize, because they don't realize that they don't have freedom when they're in a relationship. And, you and I have talked about that. And it's like when you're under somebody else's thumb
Yeah.
and you don't know how to operate without them, or you feel like you can't operate without them, that is being in jail.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
so,
really is.
yeah. And
I mean,
so go on.
yeah. I mean, my home, like I said, my home really it didn't feel comfortable anymore.
Mhm.
I dreaded going home.
Oh,
I would stay at the grocery store longer so that I didn't have to go home, and now just the feeling of when I go into my own home and I have my puppy greet me, and it's a good feeling. It feels comfortable. And even, my family and friends that have come to my house, that came to my old house, they would say, it just felt dark and it felt tense. It didn't feel comfortable. And they come here now and they're like, it's cozy. It's
yeah.
welcoming. It's homey. It feels good. There's good vibes, you
Your
know?
energy. Mhm.
Yeah. And it is, it's such a good feeling, just not having that toxic environment anymore. And it's affected a lot of different people. It's not just me and my son and my ex. It's affected my relationships with my family members. It's affected my relationships with my friends. And,
Mhm.
it's gotten me new relationships with all of my followers and, people that I've connected with online. And it's a lot of good things have come from it.
And this is, I think that's another thing that, and I think we had mentioned this in our last conversation, but I was saying, the energy that you start having for yourself, like you've created this energy, you created who you are. Like, it's like, okay, it's recreation. And then all of a sudden, all the right people just start coming in. You attract the right situations, the right place, the house, the environment, everything is just, the energy starts flowing, and you're not stagnant, and you don't realize how stagnant you were until that happens. And it's so hard to make somebody understand that when they're in the throes of the grief and the sorrow and what am I going to do, and the fear, because there's a lot of fear. And listen, fear doesn't just magically go away, and it kind of creeps back up again sometimes, because there is that always constant, like, can I do this? Oh my God. Wait, here's another thing I got to learn. Here's another thing I've got to do on my own. There's a constant, and being a parent, wow, that's challenging, especially a single mom, because, you've got a lot riding on that. I mean, that's always a learning curve too. So add that into the mix, but it's done, and it can be done. And actually your kid is getting the best of you because they get you.
Yes.
Like, this is you.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, yeah, my relationship with my son has gotten so much better. My ex's relationship with my son has gotten so much better, because we do spend more quality one-on-one time, and we're both happier. we're not fighting all the time. He's not witnessing that, it's better for us to be apart. And that was one thing, one misconception that I always had, that it was better to stay together for the kids, for them to just to at least have their parents under one roof. I always thought that that was better, but it's not. It's not if it's a toxic environment, and if it's teaching your children that that's what marriage is, that marriage is constantly fighting and crying and, slamming doors and, that's not what it should be. And if that's the environment your kids are witnessing, you need to take it upon yourself to break the cycle so that they do know, what a healthy person is. Because even if I don't end up getting married again and he doesn't see his mom or his dad, in a marriage again, at least he knows that you can be independent and be on your own and still live a happy and fulfilled life.
Yes.
So.
And I think that's a really important message because of the stigma that's been around divorce and marriage and how, two people should stay together. And I mean, there's so much, and things have changed. Things are shifted. It's acknowledged a lot more that, 40% of kids, 40% of children are raised in broken families. Like it is an astronomical amount of children that are raised there. So why not? But better that they're getting along, better that they're apart and trying to communicate in a positive way. And really, they do get the best of the parent in many ways, right? So they're not fighting for attention. And they're not trying to get attention while they're fighting in the household. I mean, I have a lot of friends growing up. My parents got divorced when I was 16, so I was a bit older. But I remember a lot of my friends at the time would tell me, well, I really wish my parents would join your parents because all I hear is fighting. I will open the door of the house and it's, and I just want to leave. And so like they spent their teenagehood like escaping the house all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's not better. It doesn't make it for a better, relationship. Or what are you showing your kids? Yeah. They're going to repeat it in many ways. So,
and I didn't want that for my son. Like, I hope someday that he gets married and I'd get married again someday. Like, I have no problem with marriage. Like, I'm not bitter about what happened. It just wasn't the right situation. It wasn't a healthy situation. I'm healthier on my own, my ex is healthier on his own. And, it's okay the way that it worked out. It was meant to be this way. And I don't regret my marriage. I have my son from it and I learned a lot. Yeah. And now I can pass everything that I've learned on to people that need it, that are in the trenches right now, that don't know literally how to even start or how to get through it or what next step to take.
Right. 100%. And I'm so glad you're doing that, honestly. Yeah. Mama Bear. It's been, we're coming up to time. I've taken up so much of your time, but what we didn't talk about, and we touch pointed on that you are a blogger and so forth. Yeah. And I know we've already said what your Instagram feed is, but I'd love you to just say it again for the audience and where they can find you and also your writing. All of that, because I've read a lot of what you have written and it's fantastic. So
so Instagram and Facebook are both The Divorced Mama Bear. And then my blog is actually thedivorcedmb.blogspot.com.
Great.
So,
and I'll put it in the notes anyway.
Yeah, everything's listed under my bio on Instagram, so you can find. And I also blog for other websites too. I've done like Scary Mommy, Working Single Mom, Pucker Mom. You can find everything on my bio. So I have a lot to say. So,
which is great, which is fantastic. I mean, you found your calling, and that's the thing. It's like the catalyst to all of that we get to read all of your things that you write, all the things that you write is because of the divorce. Literally, that's what started. It was a catalyst to your career. So thank you, divorce.
I'm grateful for it. I am. I mean, I didn't think I would ever say that, but I am grateful for it.
A lot of people don't think that, and it is so interesting because, again, a lot of people I know who have gone through it, who have come out through the other side, have made their comeback, have done their, whatever, they've refound themselves, the rebirth, all say that. It's only until you get to there. And so when you're in the beginning or the thought of it or the throes of it, it's hard for you to, even conceptualize it. Totally makes sense. But you and I are both testaments to, yep.
You can get to the other side. You can get to the other side and you're going to be okay. You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
One foot, baby steps. Love that.
Baby steps.
Yeah. We love that. Honestly, I can't remember what movie was that in, but it was like one of my favorite things. It was an older movie, like the 80s kind of movie. So you're too young maybe to even.
I was born in the 80s.
Too young then. You were born in the 80s. Yeah, but it is one of my favorite. It was my favorite line in the movie. And I think it was Bill Murray, and I can't remember the name of it, but he was like, baby steps, baby steps. He was trying to get, I was like, I always remember that. It's like, yep.
Yeah, it really is. Baby steps in a lot of things. You don't have to take a big leap to make a difference.
Yeah.
Really, if you take baby steps every day, you'll get there.
And I think to summarize this, like what you said really resonated. It's honoring where you're at and realizing it. It's like when the bad is the bad, let it be the bad, and you'll get through, and just have the hope and the knowledge that you're going to get through it, right? It's honoring where you're at and doing whatever you can to kind of just get it out of your system, like the writing or whatever it is that's your modality. Some people listen to music. Some people,
music is a big thing for me, for sure.
Huge. Yeah. And I mean, I always say this too. I really do. I jump on my trampoline. It's hilarious. And I just get it out of the system. It's always going to be, there's always somebody else that's going to challenge you.
Yeah, there is. You're always going to have, battles that you have to fight. You just got to figure out how to get through them.
Right.
You only get one chance at this life.
Right.
Not let somebody take that away, your happiness away from you. You can't. You got to take it back.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. On that note, I want to thank you for being on Divided, Survived, and Thriving. A testament of a thriving person after divorce. And again, everybody knows where they can find you.
Yeah. Come join me.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to stop